very quietly in the background. That chiming piano. Can you even hear it? Whether you can or whether you can't, it welcomes you to Gord's Poetry Show number 22. Re-recording as the first one, done in the garden this afternoon in the lovely late afternoon sunshine, failed to upload. Most disappointing. Here's to this effort. Anita Barrows, her preface to her and her compadres Joanna Macy, their translation of Rilke's Book of Hours. And quite a lovely set of translations it is too. From the preface, Joanna Macy. For almost 40 years, since the winter's day I found it on a table in a Munich bookstore, Rainer Maria Rilke's Book of Hours has been a cherished companion. It is the original Incel Verlag edition, cloth-bound, with Gothic script on soft rag paper, and on the cover the logo of the three-jetted fountain the poet designed. This pocket-sized volume has travelled with me across the spiritual landscapes of my life, from the rubble of a once sturdy faith in church and God, into the streets of political activism, and into the Buddha fields of South and Central Asia. The first poem I recall reading was as exhilarating to me as the fresh, cold alpine wind off the slopes I loved to ski. I live my life in widening circles that reach out across the world. I may not ever complete the last one, but I give myself to it. I circle around God, that primordial tower. I have been circling for thousands of years, and I still don't know. Am I a falcon, a storm, or a great song? New anthology, The Best Canadian Poetry in English, edited by Carmine Starnino. Great little anthology this, lots of fine poems in it, and a erudite and extensive introduction by Carmine. Perhaps you're not surprised to hear that. Now, I do have a tough choice here. How about Stephanie Bolster's Gardening? Under the foxgloves, worms, a white gleam writhes, cut under the shovel. What I doubled multiplies down there, below what I thought I made good. David McGimpsey. What was that poem? My mother asked me, what was that poem? It was Longfellow's My Lost Youth, I think. The answer was Longfellow, often enough, even though she never liked Evangeline. I talked to my mother on my cell phone outside a grocery store in Philadelphia. She asked me what I was buying. Was it deer? And if I now liked football more than baseball. It was the last conversation I ever had with her. I told her I liked baseball to make her happy. I knew she wasn't calling to talk sports. She was showing off, saying, I'm going to be okay. What was that poem? She'd say and act surprised when I didn't know. It wasn't about the answer. It was about noticing something held on to with wit and ferocity until the day is done. Nice song by Nick Drake called Day Is Done. Perhaps I read from it before. I know I read some Nick Drake, but did I read that one? Zachariah Wells, One and One. For every one there is a one, and one make one, divided. For every one a one must die, and every death is one, provided every other is a one and is every other. Another and a one make one, husbanded and braided. The union of a one and one makes other, suicided. Self-murder of the one in one is mother of the other one and one. Another's one in ones conspire to smother another ones, while lovers wire their one and ones implacably together. One is bound and gagged by one. One saws and frays the knot of one, and one lets slip the tether. After George Herbert. Sure some of you will remember George Herbert a couple of centuries ago. I think I do. George Bowering. I was nattering on about trying to find his new book a few weeks ago and couldn't find it and read from something else. Well, here it is. I found it. It swam into the harbour all by itself. Gord's Poetry Show does have a harbour, indeed, and many boats dock there. Teeth, Poems, 2006-2011. Valerie, haiku. Hi there, said I, you new arrivals. You know you are humans, naked. Play like Bud. What a stupid thrill it was, sailing Thelonious Monk LPs off Jamie's balcony onto the train tracks, maybe over. Were those the days? Jamie was a spider in black sweater and black jeans, 4 legs missing. We saw his dad in a Rocky Mountain cabin, carpets on the floor. He looked like Jamie with improbable curly white hair. We inspected bear droppings on the path high over Lake Louise. How to be Canadian in the 60s. Jamie walked in the Haight-Ashbury, Carol on Ionian Beach, or under all those floors at the Financial Poop. Time out, we all kept saying. Take 5, we all advised each other. Stay cool, we suggested 7 times a day. All his life, Jamie's known for certain that if he presses the right switch, he'll be able to play like Bud Powell. His teachers were plain nothing compared to his mother. She washed Milton Acorn. She blessed my poor old dad. Every time I break a coffee table, I think of Jamie Reid. I think of a Christmas tree. I smile in the falling snow. Stop that slink in the parking lot with someone's cigarette. Pick up those drumsticks and wail till I fall out. I'll grant you a sale. I'll lend you my angelic voice, never the same. Strip you of your clothes, lift your wrinkled toes. I'll lay blood-red orchids on your pathway into heaven. I'll sing with you there. I'll be your golden editor. The road approaches. The road approaches, or it goes, or we do endlessly, forgetting our start. The heart does break. The road is repaired. To Bronwyn Dixon. The silence that sometimes comes between us is something we never heard when you were here, but a gift you have bequeathed us for our future. None of us ever heard anyone talk so fast or make so much funny sense. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all our lives' worth of wisdom. Now we will listen carefully, and we know it's you we will hear, speaking faster than light. And you will be that light. And you will be that light. J. Millar, founder and progenitor of Book Thug, that enigmatic press from Toronto, is also a quite accomplished poet. This is his new book, Timely Irreverence, with a pleasant cover representing a old library card for books. Very funny, very amusing. From Nightwood Editions. Some other word for ignoring people. The road is only so long. At the end of it, there's probably a parking lot full of relatives, distant or otherwise. I feel myself send them an email when I get to the next roadside transparency. You can't drive out of the city onto a variety of signs. The ontology of the highway is boredom and trucks, and they pump music into it, the kind that lets you imagine yourself as an invincible cataract of signs, signs about cities, signs about gas, the sort of things you'd like to experience as you rise up against the rankings. Why is it the identity of a driver is always broken by birds sitting on telephone wires? Or wait, sorry, that's the sky. The identity of a sky is always broken by birds sitting on telephone wires. Damn birds. Can't they go get classified as a series of music that was played the year you were born? Concerts and concerts of notes strung out like lights against the sky. The assembly of stars. If you'd care to, I'd listen. Somewhere out in the ditches the hills rise up and talk like a language. Only there's all this music everywhere. You have no idea how much an old song can feel like the actual crunch you may or may not have experienced upon the casual formation of your nature. Which came first? The city or the roads that last between them? Wait, don't answer that. Eating and being eaten. I have never sought out large bodies of water. They exist to seek me out. That is why they wait beneath such wide and forever changing expanses of the sky so unnaturally. And eventually, when I'm not looking, one of them appears, as though it had been there all along. As we gaze at each other, there is nothing to stop us from pausing, so that's what we do. A few minutes later, we join forces, and I feel light and free as both the water and myself recall our former weight. Does this happen to you too? Perhaps this is the reason progress never makes sense to us, except in human terms. Because there is so little stillness upon the land we occupy, like tiny flakes of vapor that evaporate and fall and continue the soft calling of our cycles. When we stand near the edges, the water drains us every time. Lake Ontario, Lake Huron, Georgian Bay. It's hard to know sometimes how or why they are not in our minds always, why even our dreams occur with no image of them. They wait, and then they wait, and we continue as has been instructed. All we can hope is that when we die, there will be a profound silence and nothing more. The water will continue to break those imagined shores. The light in your eyes. Today I'm sitting next to a lake, 'cause that's where it's at. The lake is fiddling with the wind. It's exciting. Some days it's good to notice breezes and feel tree-like, leafy and curious, displaced, sitting around next to a lake, watching the kids play a game of chess. As Reed castles, Cole plots his next move, and a gadget tells me it's your birthday. Here, next to this lake, under some kind of sky that chatters with surfaces and flatters my leaves, I can only hope it's a great one, filled with sweet moves and little moments, and above everything, no resistance. Well, we'll return to that one fairly soon. A.F. Moritz, The New Measures, another new title. From Anansi this time. A.F. Moritz is a long-standing and accomplished poet. Someone who I once had the honor of opening for in a reading here in Oakville. Much pleasure to that. And many good poems in this book, as always. In the food court. I had this idea yesterday. I heard this bird sing yesterday, hidden in the foliage of the big mirrors cladding the sides of the square pillar in the food court near Manchu Walk. And if I'd written it then, the words that came to clothe it would have been different entirely, except for the first line. I had this idea yesterday. And the lovely girl and the nearby crockery accident that sent the poem in an unplanned direction, never to recall its first hope, lost, all lost, would have been different intrusions. But who knows? Maybe today's distraction and yesterday's, two strands of a river divided by an island in Eden, both lead from different angles into the same pleasure and rapids up ahead. Whether we round the bend on the left or the one to the right, maybe the currents draw to the same scene. We drift past the greening statue of a naked boy, thieving Hermes or Cupid, who looks like me 50 years ago, towards a flurry of white water, cataracts tumbling down the black, bright rocks and sending up many a plume, a panache, fountain-shaped feather of mist. We glide darkly under close-woven sycamores through the constant pregnancy of surrounding earth. The stone and the boy's eroding sides are rich in slimy mosses, washed in the iris and diamond of the rising and dying broom. And all of this wet dark is what? We don't have the adequate verb. Not fucked, not made love to, something between, by the shafts of sunlight that penetrate, and the marble presence of the child God. Father and son, light and sculpture, rapturous in the garden of self-proffering femininity. Maybe the poem never recalls, but does recover its first intention, coming with no flicker of recognition or memory to the place it started for long ago. Everything lost except pure joy, or the hell of energy restored to stillness. Pure joy. Anyway, yesterday I had this idea. this line of lyrics to put to a bird's song I heard from the mirror boskage in the underground city. Everything that comes has come before, but in some other forgotten shape that was never, or badly, born and insists, waiting to be loved properly. Indeed, everything waiting to be loved properly. George Murray, Whiteout, Poems, ECW, a couple of years ago. Oh no, 1 year ago. Excuse me, there. Dates, what are dates? Bits and fluffs of time. The new weather. Just before the key catches in the lock, a snowflake lands on your eyelash and blurs the scene, stretching the instant an instant longer, slurring outer and inner worlds. A moment more. You dare not move, and so pause on the sill. Wait for the tear that will form in either the new weather, hot from the house, or your eyes open stare. I find the poem I was looking for. Sorry about that. There we are. Cowboy Story. The books sit on the shelf. A row of coma patients in a ward. A series of cells no longer able to learn and trapped at the point of injury. The last page. At the donor clinic, I offer my arm to the spigot of the needle and think, as I see the bag fill with blood, there goes some of me. But that's a lie. As soon as it exits, the fluid is its own object, with all the attendant foreignness and filthy infection that implies, and has no meaning in terms of me. Life happens like a cowboy story in which two lines of gun-wielding men walk slowly toward each other, skinning those smoke wagons until the sky is white with exploded gunpowder. Out in the open, shooting past all logic, they advance until either reality is killed or they fall. I'm not saying there's no control, but rather that control is all there is. Keep reading to find out how it ends. The only cover offered is the bad aim of enemies and an adherence to the script. Child's Play. Carefully, another year set down on this crooked stack of babies' blocks. Those at the top purposely off-kilter, offset those below gone askew by mistake. Only physics holds this up, the shared weight each new addition loans to those below. Not X down for Y above, just straight friction, balance, leverage, sheer stress tau. It began with 1, 2, 3, but abruptly nears 40, a wobbling tower. My aim at setting has improved dramatically since I began, but the bricks are still the same. A little bit itchy there. Probably need more moisturizer. Poetry show number 22 or 3? I can't remember. We'll figure it out. just like we figure everything else out. So apologies for the delay. It's been a long while since we've done Poetry Show. Been a hot summer here, oppressively hot summer until the last week or so. Goodness gracious. I can't tell you. Oh dear. Anyway, I hope the weather's fine where you are, wherever it is, and wherever your poetry finds you. Greetings in all manner of fine language, fine and proper and poetic language. May the utterance of syllables, rhyming and otherwise, continue in your life.